The Anker F3800 was the hot new girl on the block in 2023, and it was arguably the power station that put Anker on the map. And the Delta Pro 3 recently launched, replacing the original Delta Pro and looking to fill its shoes as the most popular power station on the market. Both of these power stations have similar specs. Both of these come in around the same price. One of them is really tall, one of them is really fat. And both of them are marketed as super versatile, portable power, home backup solutions. They both come from reputable brands. So which one do you get? Is one better than the other one? Today, we're here to be your wingman and help you guys make that decision. You guys know here at the lab, our opinions cannot be bought. We've actually reviewed and recommended both of these power stations in the past. However, one of them kind of does come out on top. We've put some miles on both of these units. We've run them through some testing, and we want to share our experience using both of these to help you guys make a decision for both your budget and your power needs. Plus, we love helping you guys save some money, so there's links in the description down below with coupon codes directed at both of these if you decide to purchase either one of them. But before we jump into where each unit kind of falls short and where each unit really shines, we're gonna hit you guys with a super quick side-by-side comparison to get you up to speed if you aren't already familiar with either one of these power stations. Both of these units passed the tiny baby lift test. However, the Delta Pro 3 is the lighter unit at 113 pounds. The F3800 weighs 132 pounds. When it comes to battery capacity, they're really close. The Delta Pro 3 also wins this one again. It has a 4,096 watt-hour battery. The F3800 has a 3,840 watt-hour battery. F3800 does have the bigger output though. This is a 6,000 watt inverter. This is a 4,000 watt inverter. Both of these units are split phase, which means they both run 120 volts and they both run 240 volts. However, one unit kind of does it better than the other. Both of these units have really stupid solar inputs. This is 2,600 watts. This is 2,400 watts. They're both just awkward. However, the Delta Pro 3s is a little bit easier to achieve. And when it comes to price, they're both really close. The F3800 is $39.99 full price. The Delta Pro 3 is $36.99 full price. However, both of them are always on sale. Right now, the F3800 is actually the better deal. It's $29.99. I think this is $3,100 or something. It's impossible to keep track of the pricing on these things. They're always neck and neck. I wouldn't spend more than $3 grand on them though, because they're frequently at that price. So on the surface, as you guys can tell, they're very similar units. So let's start by going over where each of these kind of shines. When it comes to the edge that the Anker F3800 has, kind of think of it like an Android. You hate to admit it, but at the end of the day, it has way more features. Even though it's less popular, once you switch over, it's probably pretty hard to come back. And so since we're talking features, the biggest feature that we think gives this unit the edge over the Delta Pro 3 is that this unit can do 120 and 240 volts at the same time. It's one button, turns on all the output plugs. You can have this thing plugged into a transfer switch. It could be powering your dryer and your oven. You can plug another device directly into one of the 120 volt plugs and power it up. The Delta Pro 3 does not do that. You can either use 240 or 120, that is it. So if you have it plugged into a transfer switch or an RV or something like that, if you wanna switch over to a different set of plugs, you have to kill the power to everything that was previously running just to run the other set of the inverter. So this doing single phase and split phase at the same time is a huge pro in our opinion. The next spot that this thing just has an edge is that the inverter is obviously way bigger. This is a 6,000 watt inverter. It was able to lift a car on my car hoist, run a compressor in my shop. It can do an oven and a stove. It can do a well pump. It can do all kinds of good stuff. Whereas the Delta Pro 3 couldn't do any of the extreme surges. They say they're rated for almost the same surge capacity. This is 9,000 watts, that's 8,000 watts, but that couldn't lift a car on my hoist. It couldn't run my compressor. It can do an oven or a stove, both of which are usually just above 2,000 watts, so you can't do them at the same time. And depending on how intense your well pump is, you might be able to get it to run, but probably just the well pump. The F3800 also has the edge when it comes to port options. This has a 50 amp plug, which is, in my opinion, huge, especially if you're like a worker and you want to put this thing in your truck or your trailer or something. You could plug all kinds of stuff directly into the 50 amp plug and just run it, which is huge. There's also 6 120 volt plugs right here on the side. The Delta Pro 3 only has 4 120 volt plugs, and it doesn't have a 50 amp plug. It just has the generator, like L14 style, and then the weird sideways 240 volt plug that I don't think anybody in North America uses at all, but they put it on there anyways. It also has the edge when it comes to footprint. This is a much more stackable design. It fits way better in the corner of a room, in the corner of a trailer, tiny home, closet, anything like that, that you can jam this thing into a corner and the expansion batteries stack cleanly on top. Delta Pro 3 can only have a couple expansion batteries per unit. So you're gonna have to have, if you wanna continue to expand, you're gonna have 2 units with 2 stacks on each unit. They're bigger, they're wider, they take up more room. And since we're on the topic of batteries, this is a Delta Pro 3 expansion battery. It is a total of 4,096 watt hours. And this is the expansion battery for the F3800. It is a tiny little cube. This is 3,840 watts. There's literally 200 more watts in this one right here. And if you put these lined up back to back, it's incredibly smaller than the EcoFlow one. And not to mention, you can have 3 times as many batteries per unit. So this one power station, you could have 6 of these little guys straight up in the corner of wherever. It's just really clean, really convenient. You can only have 2 of these per Delta Pro 3. So when it comes to just having room to grow and expand, I mean, like they're almost the same width, dude. This is insanely better than the size of this. And the final edge that the F3800 has is just the price. It's always a little bit cheaper. And with that little bit cheaper, you get pretty much the same battery, but a bigger inverter. And not only is this unit always a little bit cheaper, but you can expand it for cheaper. The Delta Pro 3, you can only have, like I keep saying, 2 units. 2 expansion batteries per unit. So if you want to expand 1 more battery size, that 3rd purchase, or 4th purchase, I guess, needs to be an entire power station. Whereas this, you can do up to 6 batteries. So once you get to the same overall capacity of this with 6 batteries and the Delta Pro 3, similar battery capacity, you're gonna have spent way more money on the Delta Pro 3 than you would have spent just going with this and some expansion batteries. When it comes to the edge that the Delta Pro 3 has, it's kind of like an iPhone. They're more popular, more people buy them because they're tried and true, and honestly, they're better looking. It might have slightly less features, but it honestly just makes you feel good. This thing is so nice to look at. You can't explain it, but it's like a new car. Just having it nice and shiny and it just feels better to have this unit. Can't argue that. Starting with the features though, the biggest edge that I would say this unit has is it works with existing EcoFlow products. So if you have the original Delta Pro expansion batteries, they work with this. If you have a Delta 2 or a Delta Max expansion battery, they work with this. If you have a Delta Pro Ultra, you can use the AC plugs on the back. You can connect it to the smart home panel too. It fits really well into the ecosystem that EcoFlow already has existing, and it's a huge pro if you already have products from the past that you can bring into your new model, plug them in and run them. The next edge that I would say this unit has is the 30 amp plug. You can buy adapters, sure, but having a 30 amp plug directly on a unit like this, you can wheel this into your trailer, your RV, whatever, plug it directly in, and you're on your way. That's huge. That's a very, very big convenience and pro that I actually wish the F3800 had. This also has the edge of, I want to say it like appears like a better deal because the inverter and the battery size kind of match. So it's only got 200 watts of battery extra. The battery inside of this and the battery inside of the F3800 are basically the same, but with a 4,000 watt inverter and a 4,000 watt battery, you can run 4,000 watts for basically 1 hour. With the F3800, it has a 3,800 watt hour battery, but a 6,000 watt inverter. It makes the battery sound small, so people think it's like a lesser unit. And also if you run it at 6,000 watts, it's only gonna last you like just over half an hour. So it's like a misconception in people's minds that the F3800 has like the wrong size battery or something, but the reality is just the way that these kind of collide together, both in the 4,000 watt range, it just sounds better, more equal kind of build. This unit also has the edge on the solar input. It's got a bigger solar input by 200 watts, so again, not much, but it's a lot easier to achieve that solar input. The F3800 has some known problems where it's really hard to get the maximum solar input because it was designed to work with only Anker panels, which have a really low amperage. This is a lot easier to get to the full 2600 watt input. It's still a pain in the ass. They have introduced a high voltage and a low voltage port. One does 1600 watts, one does 1000 watts. I don't know why they do the things they do. It's just confusing and annoying. Both EcoFlow and Anker panels are extremely expensive and overpriced, and I would recommend that you shop at somewhere like Signature Solar or Shop Solar that's gonna pair a different brand's panels with the unit and save you a lot of money. But at the end of the day, circling back, if you're gonna go solar and use panels, this unit, it's just a little bit easier to get the full maximum solar input into it. And the final edge with the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3 is gonna be that it works with these AC adapters that the Delta Pro Ultra kind of launched into the market. This is basically a 240 AC plug that goes on the back of the unit. This one specifically allows you to plug it directly into a generator and charge this thing with 240 volts, which is really cool. You could charge it extremely, I think it's like a 4000 watt input. So you could charge this thing super quickly with something like this. They also have these adapters that go for like an EV charger. So you can just drive up to like a Tesla charger, plug it in and charge it through that. There's a lot of expandability options and things you can do with the AC ports in the back of this unit that just give you kind of more versatility than you're gonna get with the Anker. So at the end of this, both of these units are great options. And if you guys already have your mind made up, good for you. We support your decision either way you decide to go. If your mind is not made up though, here's what we would do. Buy the Delta Pro 3 if you already have EcoFlow products that are compatible with this unit, or if you have an RV or a trailer or something that would really benefit from the dedicated 30 amp plug. You can buy adapters and stuff for the F3800, but having this 30 amp plug right on here, wheel it in your RV, plug it in, you're good to go. That's a huge pro. It's also a good decision if you just have less power hungry needs. Maybe you're powering a small tiny home or you want to use it for home backup, but you don't necessarily need to use the oven or the stove when you're backing up your home. You just need to keep on the lights and a fridge and a Wi-Fi router. And if you plan on using solar heavily with your setup, this one is just going to be a little bit easier, probably more affordable to get the full max solar capacity into this unit. Buy the F3800 if you have more power hungry needs. With the 6000 watt inverter, you're able to run the oven and the stove and continue to use all the other appliances in your house that aren't super power hungry, whereas this can't even do the oven and the stove at the same time. Or if you're using portable power for work, with the 50 amp plug on here, there's a ton of versatility that you can like run a compressor off this, you could run a little welder off this, you could run all kinds of stuff off of this if it's in like a trailer or if it's just in the back of your truck or whatever. Tons of use cases for a big inverter that's also really, really portable and mobile like this. And similar to that, if you want a smaller footprint, this is also your choice. It's very tall and slender. It fits in the corner really nicely like we already talked about. All the batteries can stack vertically. It'll fit way better inside of a trailer or a small tiny home or something like that than a full setup with the Delta Pro 3 would. And when it comes down to it, if you're just trying to get the best bang for your buck, you can't beat the F3800. But that's just our opinion. If you're still not sold, go with your gut. Go watch some other videos on our channel. We have full videos covering both of these units. Learn as much as you can first. We even have like a little course that we did teaching you guys about electricity and stuff. If you're newer and you don't understand that kind of stuff, learn as much as you can and just go with your gut, or go with whichever discount code gets you the better deal. Anyways, that is all we got for you guys. Leave a comment down below on which unit you would choose or you did choose, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.